Hi, welcome back to Eepa's Kitchen. I want to start off today by telling you that it is, I'm going to check for the update, -5 degrees out. So we're not going outside today to do any of the cooking that we normally would do. When Derek showed up, he had ice in his beard and mustache, and I felt a little bad for him. So we're not going to make him go outside and film me today. But what we are going to do today is we're going to make this dish that I could eat weekly, and if I did, I'd probably need to go on some type of a thinner or cholesterol medicine because of the heavy cream and the cheese, but it is fantastic. It's Chicken Diablo. It's basically just a spicy pasta with chicken. And you can make it without chicken because management here isn't big on chicken, but I like it, and for this purpose, we're gonna put it in so you guys can see it. So some of the ingredients we've got about a pound of chicken. It's a big chicken breast we're going to cook. We've got about 12 ounces of bow tie pasta, which is, it works really good with this recipe. And it's one of my favorite brands, DeCecco. If you get a chance and you can buy this, definitely go with this. It's usually just a smidge more in the store, worth the money. All right. It's got some good quality olive oil, quarter cup of butter. It's a cup and a half of grated Parmesan cheese, a couple cups of chopped spinach. There's about 6 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes, and you can't go wrong with sun-dried tomatoes. They're fantastic. A couple teaspoons of garlic, maybe a tablespoon. I might have gone over. There's a half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper. That's the kind that we make here. There's a half a teaspoon of ground cayenne pepper. So this is a little spicy dish. Those two things, you can adjust these two. Just if you don't really like it real spicy, but this is a nice flavor with these three items. And then we got a little bit of spinach in ribbons that we're going to use later as a garnish. It makes the plate look real nice. Oh, and a cup and a half of heavy cream. So that's what we got here. I've already got the water started to boil. I'm going to add some salt in a little bit, and we'll get the pasta cooking. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of part cook this chicken. Normally I do it outside on the grill, but again, it's like some disaster of cold out there. Hey, Canada, anybody up there, if you're listening, I love you guys. I have a lot of friends in Canada. Take your weather back. I don't need this crap. All right. So anyway, so we're gonna take this chicken. I've got a nice stub inside grill over here. I'll show you when we get over there. Derek will get us a close up. All we're gonna do is we're gonna season this with some salt and pepper, and we're gonna cook it. We're gonna sear it on both sides just to get a little char, and that'll give it a little flavor. The nice thing about doing it this way is you get the flavor on the chicken. It doesn't really impact the sauce, and it makes, when we go to putting everything together, it makes it cook a little faster. So you're not taking as much time trying to start with a piece of raw chicken to go through it. The one thing I'll caution you with is once we've done the searing, we're going to take it right away, put it back on a fresh plate, put it in the fridge, let it chill while we get ready for the next step. All right, you don't want to leave it out. So let's start with that. We'll go over here by the little grill. I'm going to just put a little olive oil on it. We'll season this. We'll sear it both sides. Put it in the fridge. So I put a little olive oil in the pan. You can see it smoking a little bit there. You can kind of see the ridges in the pan, so it'll give us a nice little like grilled look. I'm going to go ahead and just set this in. And then we're just going to sprinkle some salt. We've got some sea salt here. And a little bit of pepper. Got some cracked black pepper. We're just going to let that sear on both sides. So 45 seconds, a minute or so, we'll check it. As soon as we can get it a little bit, break it loose a little bit, we'll flip it over. Same thing on the other side. Pop it back in the fridge, and move on to the next step. All right, so we're going to give it a quick look and turn it. Oh, perfect. All right, you can see if you look on the side, it's starting to kind of cook part through. Again, we only want it just cooked on the outside, and that's going to be plenty for us. So we're going to let this side sit for about the same amount of time. We'll come back, and then we'll pull it, stick it in the fridge. All right, so it's been another minute or so on that side. We'll turn it over, take a look. Yeah, that's what we're looking for right there. It's got some nice char on it. Again, we're not looking to cook it through, just looking for some color and some flavor. So we're going to pull this. I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the fridge. We'll get started on the next step. Once this chills, we'll slice it and we'll get going. All right, so we pulled this out of the fridge. It's chilled down a little bit, enough for me to handle. I'm gonna go ahead and just get it on a clean board here. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna slice this just a little bit across the grain. You can see how it's not cooked all the way through. And that's what we're looking for. Basically what I'm looking for is just a head start on this and a little bit of flavor with the salt and pepper. You can make this dish with just raw chicken. You can do it. It's just gonna take you an extra, in the pan, it's gonna take you another 10 minutes or so. And I caution you when you do that because the longer you cook this chicken in the pan, if you cook it completely through and then go about the rest of the process, it gets dry and rubbery. That's just going to happen. It's just part of physics. So that's why I like to start it out this way, and then what we'll do is we'll get it searing on one side, and then as soon as we start to flip it, we'll start the rest of the process. I want to get this sliced, and we're going to probably cut some of these pieces in half because they are pretty long. This is a huge chicken breast. One thing that we don't have today to serve with this is I like some really fresh, crusty bread, but because it is -4 degrees out, we're not going back out to the store. We have what we had, and that's what we're using today. All right, let's be syrup. Yeah, let's be syrup. All right, so I'm going to get this transferred over to a plate. We're going to move over to the stove, let Derek get set up, and we'll get going on everything else. All right, so we got our pan warmed up. We got a little bit of virgin olive oil here. I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons or so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add our cayenne pepper. Okay, see it?
There we go.
All right. Just going to cook that. And you start to smell it. Maybe it'll make you sneeze. Who knows? Just want to get that heated up, and then what we'll do is we're going to start searing the chicken in that. But I want to wait till that oil gets a little hotter before we do it. You can start to see it. It's bubbling just a little bit. We get a little bit more heat in there first. I've got the pan set on medium high, and then we'll adjust that down when we go to make the sauce. Yeah, you can just start to see a little bit of smoke coming off it. I don't know if you can see that. We're going to go ahead and start adding our chicken. So this is all that chicken we cut up before. I like this pan. It's nice, heavy duty. All clad. I think they call it their everyday pan. Works real well for a lot of recipes. Seriously, that's about as long as you need it to go. You just want to get that first side started. And then flip them over. You can see that first one we turned over right there. It's already cooked through, or on that side. So by the time we start turning everything, that's when we're going to go ahead and we've got some melted butter. We're going to add the garlic and the crushed red pepper, and then we're going to move forward from there. So I'm just going to quickly kind of turn these over. You can use the tongs or your favorite utensil. And then as you're cooking, things are going to turn. So don't be like freaking out if, oh, I missed one, turning one over. It's okay, it's going to cook. We got a long ways to go on this. All right. And right before we start adding the other ingredients, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to put a little bit of salt in our water and start our pasta. This is going to cook. The pasta takes about 13 minutes. I'm going to set the timer for 12 and check it. So you want it al dente. You don't want to really overcook it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and grab our butter, the garlic and the pepper. Just going to go ahead and add the butter in. And put the garlic in there so it can start to simmer. And then we'll add our crushed red pepper right on top of that. Start stirring that in, mixing that with all the chicken. You can see the chicken's already starting to get to the point where it's just about cooked too. All right, we're gonna let that cook for just a smidge, and then we're gonna add our cream and get our sauce going. So let's give that just like 30 seconds. Garlic, I can already smell the garlic, so I know we're making progress there. So give it about 30 seconds, and then we're gonna move forward with our sauce. All right, so the house smells delicious right now. So we're gonna go ahead and get going with this cream. Just gonna pour it around in there. We're gonna let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Just want it to start thickening up a little bit. You want it to just bubble a little bit on the edges. Nothing major, but we're gonna let that do its thing. I'm gonna give it just a quick stir, mix everything up. And then once that gets to the point where it's simmering for about 5 minutes, we'll add our cheese and melt it in, dump in the rest of our ingredients. By that time, the pasta should be just about done, and we can eat. All right, so I cut the flame back to like a medium low, and you can see how the cream has been simmering. We're gonna go ahead and start adding in the Parmesan cheese and get this nice and thick. My stomach is literally growling right now. This recipe is a copycat of one from a restaurant I worked at. I worked for a real successful restaurateur. I don't want to share his name because I don't have permission. But he had some incredible pasta dishes there. And this is very similar to one of them. All right, so we're gonna let that cook for just a bit. I might raise the heat just a little. And then we'll add our spinach and sun-dried tomatoes. That time, our pasta should be done. We'll mix it all together and we will eat. All right, so we give it another minute or so. It's starting to thicken up. I'm gonna go ahead and add our 2 cups of spinach in there. It's just baby spinach. I took off most of the stems and chopped it up. And this is about 6 ounces of sun-dried tomatoes. You can do more. You know, it's totally up to you. 6 ounces in this size adds a real nice flavor. And then I have some left over from the 8-ounce pack that I can just eat like candy. So we're going to stir that in, and it's really starting to thicken up now. Cut that flame back just a bit more. So all we're really right now is we're just going to let that spinach cook a bit. We're going to check the pasta. All right, we're going to go ahead and strain the pasta. And this is one of those recipes you do not need to save your pasta water. Make sure it's drained. We're good. Lay that in. Look how beautiful that is. Red and green. Got that nice cream sauce. See little chunks of the chicken in there. Before management left today, she said, make sure you save me some. All right. Smell the cheese too. All right. So that's how it is. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna move over to the other side. We'll plate up a little bit. I'll show you the garnish. We'll make some drinks. Derek and I are gonna eat and then figure out what we're gonna do with the rest of this day where it's -4 degrees out right now. All right, so we're all set. We're gonna go ahead and plate this. Got this really cool scooping utensil. we're going to use for this job. Look at that. Got a nice big scoop there. All right. A little bit more. All right. So get that right in the center. And then what we'll do is we've got this spinach that we already sliced up into little ribbons. And this makes a really nice, real pretty little garnish. You just take it and make kind of a little bird's nest out of it. Set it right in the center. And then take some fresh Parmesan, whatever you have. A little bit more over the top. And there you have it. All right, so today's drink, because it's really cold out and we have nowhere to go and we don't want to go anywhere, we're going to get fancy and we're going to do martinis. So we made this cherry vodka. We have a tree out back, and the cherries are a little tart, so they're good for baking and whatnot. But what we found is if we took them and pitted them and soaked them in vodka for about a month, strained it out, it's really good flavor. And again, this isn't your typical martini recipe. It's basically just cherry vodka shaken over ice and poured in frosted cups, which were in the freezer. So we're going to do that. So I'm not even going to measure. Pour a little in there. We're not going to get, we don't want to get too nutty. Shaken, what did you tell me earlier? Not stirred. He was talking James Bond earlier. Pour a little bit in each one. And that'll be Derek's. I get more. All right, that's it. Let me see. Oh, yeah. This would be dangerous on a day like today. All right, we're going to go over and eat. Come join us. All right, we're going to go ahead and give it a try. I'll be honest with you. While Derek was setting up, I was already sampling it, so I know it's good. But we're going to go ahead and, in front of you, we're going to go ahead and eat it, and we'll give you our critique. We do good on the chicken. It's still nice and moist. The only thing that we're missing is a big chunk of bread to get that sauce up. It's got a nice spice, and it's not real like whoa heat. It's that kind that catches you in the back as it's going down. Pasta seems like it's cooked pretty well. So the chicken is not overdone. It's still got a lot of, it's not that dry, sticking your throat flavor. Sun-dried tomatoes are really sweet. You get the garlic. I would say that if anything on this, if we would adjust, maybe just a smidge less garlic if you don't like a lot. I think it's good this way, but if you're not real good with a lot of garlic, that might be, because I originally said 2 teaspoons, we were probably closer to a tablespoon on this one. But yeah, I think it turned out good. What do you got?
I love it. I love that little bit of crunch that comes from the fresh spinach on top. I love that bit of sweetness that hits with the heat at the same time from the tomatoes. And like you said, the heat doesn't hit you right up in the forefront, it's in the back.
Yeah.
Like it's going down. And it's a nice little after effect.
Good. All right, let's give these a try. Excellent work again. Thanks for coming out in the cold.
Of course.
What do you think of that? I don't know if you had that yet.
I haven't. Wow. That tastes like cherry pie.
Yeah, we just pick a bunch of cherries. Our neighbors have this old-fashioned pitter. It's really cool. And we pit them all. It just goes in a big jar, like the pineapples that we talked about before. Instead of using rum, we use vodka, just good quality vodka. I think we used Grey Goose on this one. We went all out and used the good stuff. And yeah, cherry pie. I like that. Why not? All right, so
it's just like it.
We thank you for coming in again. We thank you, for being here every week. If there's anything you liked about it, let us know. If there's anything you didn't like about it, I don't want to hear it. Remember, thin skin, positive only, all right? But please, subscribe, like, please share, let other people know. We'd like having you here. We'd like more people being here. And, remember, this was again, we talk about simplicity. This is a pretty simple project. I mean, if you saw it, it was pretty quick. I did a little bit of prep ahead of time, But again, start to finish, this is like under an hour, this whole recipe. So again, if it wasn't cold out, we'd have bread. Sorry about that, but yeah, still hasn't gotten past -4. So we're not doing that. So we'll figure out something. Maybe there's some Wonder Bread in the pantry. We'll stop it up with. So, but from Eepa's Kitchen, Derek and I, thanks again for coming by, and we'll see you next week.